Wow, this camera is not ideal. Well, we got one person in here. What's up, guys? Let me add. What's up, Pettification? Just want to know if there's Mark 8 drama. Well, that's actually why I'm here. I am looking to do something pretty unique to the Mark 8 as far as what's already out there. There's a body kit by HG Motorsport. As of right now, that's the only one that I know of. There is a company that sells wide fenders, but they look stock. I'm wanting to make my own body kit for this car, at least give it a shot. And I'm looking for people who may be able to point me in the right direction as far as where to start. I've got a couple ideas, but if I could pick someone's brain who has a little bit of experience with it or knows somebody, that would be awesome. I hope that answers your question. Other than that, I mean, we got a clutch kit coming up here in the near future. That'll be done once the S2000 is done. As soon as I'm back, right now I'm out of town for work. As soon as I'm back and get the S2K done, we'll hop back on to the Mark 8 GTI and start getting that going again. Can I ask you how's the mic? I know the camera is not the best. Does it pick up audio okay? Sweet. Thank you for answering me, man. Thank you, Evan, as well. Camera's a bit blurry. Yeah, I know. Do you guys know if there's a way to live stream through the GoPro and have it go through the computer? If not, maybe I'll just end up setting it up on my phone again. Let me see. Let me see if I can pull something up on it. Does it pop up as a camera on your PC when you plug in a USB cable? Let me find out. If it does, that would be sick. What is everybody up to this evening? Kind of a little bit late. I didn't realize it's 8 o'clock for me right now. Minimize this. It will not let me change cameras while while I'm streaming. What do you do for work? That's a good question. I deliver shingles. I have a CDL, so I load them up on the roof, and at night sometimes when I'm in town, I work at a bowling alley part time to make a little bit of extra money to spend on the channel and be able to invest in the cameras and in time for this. So back to the body kit. Are you looking for a supplier to mold it for you, or would you do the manufacturing yourself? Um, Probably at first I would do it myself. I'd take the Mark 8 out of commission for a little while and do all that work myself. And eventually I would like either somebody to 3D scan it or make molds of it. That way it could be produced, or down the road if the car gets wrecked or somebody hits it in a parking lot or blow a tire for for whatever reason, if we need to replace panels, it'd be a lot easier to go that route than to try and make another one myself. I agree with you on that as well. I do want to be able to make it out of carbon fiber in the end. That's something that I've wanted to work with more. I did a video a while back on our Datsun hood, doing forged carbon on that. 3D scanners are pretty cheap on Amazon. No, that is not a bad idea. I do want to work with carbon more and get some experience with that. I think it's definitely a good skill to have, especially working in in YouTube and just for myself. Like in this case where I want something totally custom, if I have the experience and the knowledge on how to do it, like it expands the realm of what is doable for a consumer a lot more. 3D scanners on Amazon. Yeah, that's really not that bad. Obviously, like you can get into some pretty spendy stuff, but for a start, let's look at a highly rated one. For like 4.5 star smaller scanners, yeah, like $500. It's pretty reasonable, pretty doable. Evan, what do you do for work? Do you work on cars? Do you modify your daily, or do you have a project? If so, how do you spend your time to be able to afford to? Acacia for 3D surfacing. I'm an engineer in the automotive industry. And if you can find a license that would help the design side. That's pretty cool. Do you like being an engineer? Do you work for Ford? If so, got a few ideas for you. Okay. That narrows it down a little bit. Is it Hyundai? Or are you allowed to say? If you're not allowed to say, then by all means, keep that to yourself. That's pretty cool. I don't have the patience, or I'd say I have the brain power, but I definitely don't have the patience to do your job. That's uh, that's not for me. I'm a network engineer, nothing to do with cars. Did you start watching your channel to get some more knowledge about my Mark 8 and modding? I enjoy your videos. Keep it up. Thank you, Evan. I appreciate that. What is a network engineer? I guess, what do you do? I'm not familiar with what that is, especially when you get to see parts you designed on everyday cars. That would be a pretty cool aspect of being an automotive engineer for sure. Um, Getting to see your work play out in people's lives, that's pretty cool. I get to drive by houses on occasion and say that I put the shingles up there and delivered them. That's about it. No, I do not determine where fastener locations are. Well, thank you for the clarification. I won't hound you too much for that. Oh, do you guys like lives overall? Like, not just my channel. Is this something you like to watch, like to interact with? This is my second one, and so far I liked the more one-on-one side of things instead of making a video, posting it. And not that I don't like filming it and editing it, but I like the interaction where it feels a little bit more personal instead of here's a video, watch it. You can leave a comment if you'd like, and then when I have time, I get back to you. But I definitely think, at least lives for me, it feels like a little bit more of a personal experience, other than it being atrociously blurry. Well, shoot, throw them out there. Let's talk about it. I got nothing but time. I'm in a hotel room. I don't have the wife, don't have the kid. I really have nothing better to do, and so this is great. Like last night, I spent the better half of 2 to 3 hours just practicing with the camera, taking some photos, and finding out what I like, how I like, and in different settings. So I've been putting some time into that side of things. That way, hopefully, it'll benefit the videos and things like Instagram and all of that. Build and maintain computer network for businesses. Pretty boring stuff. Haha. I get to travel more so when it's like wintertime. In Utah, roofers kind of their business dies out a little bit. It's slower, and so that does give me the opportunity, like now, to come to Arizona and help out down here. And so that is pretty cool. I grew up in the military, so moving around all the time was a big part of my life, and this is kind of like a little taste of it. So that's a pretty cool aspect of my job for sure. 24 Autobahn. Love it, but it's stock. I'm looking to change that. What do you want to do? Do you have something in mind? Where I was not military, my father was. He's retired now, but I myself was not. If you haven't picked anything out yet for the 380, one of the best things in my opinion personally is, oh, especially if you want to get into autocross, one of the best things I could recommend to you is the rear sway bar. You put a solid rear sway bar on there and a good set of sway bar end links. It'll change the characteristic of the car. I'm telling you, put it at the top of your list. That should probably be number one. And then if you're wanting to get in autocross, I would definitely do tires and brakes after that. But that sway bar, that's going to help that back end rotate around and help you feel a lot more. Yeah, that's a good start for sure. I like the 034 sway bar, particularly just because it has the grease fittings on the back. And if you take care of grease fittings and their bushings, they tend to last a little bit longer. I will say it is significantly heavier than the stock sway bar. And that's because the 034 one, if I'm not mistaken, is not hollow. It's a solid bar. As opposed to like IE sway bar, their sway bar is a hollow bar. Really, it just comes down to you, what's in your price range, and where you want to spend your money. I definitely like the beefier mounts too that come with the 034 kit. Yeah, they're definitely pretty nice. And you're never gonna see them, but you know that they're there. So peace of mind. Yeah, and that's one thing I need to do. I currently don't have the adjustable end links, but coming up here pretty soon as we get into spring, kind of like how you're saying, once we get into spring, I will definitely be pairing it with end links. I do want to do the front sway bar too. Um, Not have it on as aggressive of a setting, but with the front sway bar, you have to drop the front subframe from what I understand. And so I'm waiting till I do a clutch. That way it's already taken apart. I don't have to do it twice. I did not use the 2x4 method. I did do it on the ground. It's definitely doable. If you have a strut spreader tool, that makes life a lot easier. If you don't, then you can do what I did. I used a 1/4 inch drive ratchet and twisted it. That way, the head of the ratchet was cocked at an angle and spread the strut. But if you can get a strut spreader tool, that makes life a lot easier. And you will have to disconnect the driver side stub axle just from the hub, just to allow that hub to swing out and give you a little bit more space. The axle on that side is shorter, so it doesn't have as much give when you go to take the spring out. I've heard that they're not super aggressive on the GTIs, but I don't have any personal experience with it. I've only ever had aggressive clutches in my Subarus, and Subarus from factory already have a pretty stiff clutch. So it wasn't terribly noticeable with those cars just because they already came with a heavy pedal. Trying to decide between that or removing the knuckle from the axle as an entire assembly. That's also definitely an option. Um, Really, it's up to you. That one will take a little bit more time, but I think you'll definitely fight with it less. It'd be a little bit easier to get the spring out. Depending on where you live, too, if you can get a spring compressor tool like AutoZone, I think rents them out for $40, and then when you take it back, you get your $40 back. But those are definitely handy to have. I don't recommend just taking it off while it's under pressure. People do it all the time. I'm not one of those guys. I don't really care to risk the spring shooting off at me. Yeah, that's the plan. I'm amazed. Oh, yeah, I mean, from what I understand, they rent it out for the price of the tool. So if you don't turn it back in, they're not really out the money. They just have to go through the process of getting a replacement. I'm not gonna lie, I have done that before. Yep. I mean, I was a stupid kid once. I mean, I still have my moments, but decisions were made, mistakes happen. It's part of life, and it didn't really hurt them. They just had a little extra work to do. One thing I will say, if you do lowering springs, make sure they come with replacement bump stops or lowered bump stops. If they don't, you risk bottoming out on harder bumps and kind of slapping it into the chassis. So besides the body kit and clutch, what's next? Big turbo? Yes, we will be going the Power Max route. I don't know yet if I want to do the MPI kit from Unitronic. I definitely see benefit for it, other than making power with the multi-port injection kit. It then puts fuel over the intake valves, which is something that GDI engines suffer from, the carbon buildup. And so, I mean, from a standpoint of power and maintenance, I'm kind of leaning that way, but I'm trying to think long term with the car. I don't want to keep the EA 888 in it forever. I would like to swap it. I already have a power plant in mind. It's been brought up a couple times. There's actually a couple people who have already done it on the Golf Rs. Um, but yeah, I just, if I keep the 2.0 in it for a little while, I probably will end up going the multi-port injection route. If not, then I probably won't go that far. One thing other than yes, Daza. That is the plan. I mean, we've seen Humble Mechanic do it on a Mark 7. So, I mean, it's possible. Getting everything to talk to each other, that's going to be the hard part. Getting it to fit in there, I feel like, is going to be the easy part since it's still an MQB. I would like to do, what is the company called? I think it's Verkline. They offer a full tubular kit, but I probably will hold off until the Daza swap just because I'd have to rebuy everything. So make sure the VCDS license is up to date. Okay. I need to start making notes of all this stuff. I try to just keep it in my head. For the most part, it's okay, but little stuff like things like you just said, like I need to write it down and make sure. I use OBD11. I will say I have actually liked the OBD11. I didn't think it'd be that useful, but overall as a tool, just to have is has been pretty nice. We use it on my car, my wife's car, my brother-in-law's cars, it, and even my mother-in-law's cars when she had an Audi as well. Hmm. That's also one thing I'd like to get better at is their lawn coating. I'd like to learn that. Most recent thing I used it for was disabling start stop on in-laws Tiguan. See, I'm not a huge fan of the start stop. And I know that they say their starter motors are supposed to last forever, and you probably would be able to tell me better than a car manufacturer. But I just don't feel like that's good. Isn't isn't that where most of your wear and tear comes from? Is cold starts and start stops? I like the reaction. That's comforting. Sounds good. I will leave that subject alone. Are you able to talk about some of the projects you've worked on? Maybe not specifics, but things you have designed? That's pretty dope. New NSX. That's a pretty cool project to work on. I would like to actually drive one of those. I've heard a lot of good things. I've heard a lot of bad, but I've heard a lot of good things. Mostly the bad stems from it being a hybrid, but I do think in the future that's going to be probably where a lot of the auto industry goes. I don't think electrification is going to really be the end all. 20 miles per hour. That's about what I've spent in a Tesla. So before I did what I do now, I worked at a tire shop, and the only time I've ever been in a Tesla was going 3 miles an hour from the tire bay out to the parking lot. Yeah, I mean, I can speak from a consumer, but where you have a hand in the industry, I think you probably would know more than I do. From a consumer standpoint and from what I see, I think people are starting to realize that that's not viable for everybody to have strictly electric. I do think hybrids will play a bigger role. I think we'll see a lot of people going that way. Okay. We live and we learn. I mean, hindsight's 2020. So hopefully we learn and continue moving forward. But cool hybrid projects like Porsche is doing their hybrid or electric turbo. That's pretty rad. I think that's a cool way. Or things like the Corvette E-Ray, where it's there to boost performance. Now, I know performance isn't everybody's cup of tea, but I like to see projects like that. What is Hyundai's car? The N. Let me see. Hyundai. The Vision. The Vision 74. I think that's a pretty cool concept. I would use to torque fill engines like the F-20. That would be pretty cool. Coming from someone who has an S2000, yeah, I understood what you meant. I just blew one of those up not too long ago. I tried to torque fill it with a turbo, and it did for a little bit, but that engine was tired. The F20s are actually pretty cool motors, especially from an engineering standpoint and design. I I had to learn to work on that. It's a lot different than like a single overhead cam Datsun or dual overhead cam Nissan. The fact that you have a gear that's attached to your crank via the timing chain that then drives sprocketed camshafts off of that center gear. That's pretty cool. And I think the K24s, of course, you can correct me if I'm wrong. The K24s and K20s, I think they're the same way, and that's pretty rad. It makes taking the cams out a breeze. Hey, I appreciate it. Thanks for sticking around. Um, I can't wait to make more content for you guys and to be able to interact with you guys more. If this is something you guys would like to see, I would like to do this probably every Friday. That's pretty much my only free night during the week. But I'll probably log off here as well. Thank you all for hanging out and for pitching in, especially you, man. Dude, that's awesome. Thank you. I will, I really appreciate that. Thank you. I will probably do this every Friday and hang out, chat with you guys. Hope you all have a wonderful night and stay tuned. That was cheesy as shit, but you as well, Evan. Thank you for hanging out with us tonight. Appreciate you.